Hi, I'm here once again to bless you with 7 manga recommendations. If I don't forget it, then there will be timestamps for each manga in the description, so feel free to just skip ahead, and now let's start with the first manga on today's list. Manga number 1 on this list is Leios. The setting is a steampunk inspired world still recovering from a devastating war leading to an era of rebirth. Technology has advanced in a very specific direction. Steam-powered prosthetics and mechanical enhancements like you would see in Cyberpunk. And in this world, the chiefs of entertainment cooked something up for the peasants to enjoy. The best form of entertainment in history, metal boxing. Metal boxing matches are an ancient Rome-like fist fights where the fighters with mechanical limbs and other kinds of enhancements beat the ever-living shit out of each other. Our main character, Leios, is one of those metal boxers. He lost his father in the war and his mother was left in a coma. He himself lost an arm while trying to save his mother, but thanks to prosthetic technology he got a new steam-powered arm that operates with a relatively older technology. The manga follows him as he rises through the ranks of metal boxing and trying to deal with the trauma he has from his horrible past. What I really like about the manga is how it deals with Leios' guilt and trauma. And the whole series is just so pleasing to look at. The weird thing about this manga is that you don't read it like any other usual manga, like from right to left, but from left to right, like a standard book. This takes some time to get used to it, but you will adapt. If you just read it for the action parts, then it's still a great read, but the depth behind it transforms it into something much more. No Guns Life is one of those series where the concept alone makes you read it. A single Instagram post I saw while doom scrolling made me read this manga. No Guns Life is a manga about a detective with a literal gun for a head. Yeah, his head is a revolver. And yes, people occasionally try to pull the trigger. The setting is a dark industrial cyberpunk city where many people have body modification called extensions. People with said extensions are called extended. Yes, very innovative. Juzo Inoi is an ex-soldier that had his head replaced with a giant gun after a war. This led to him losing his memories and identity, and he now works as a detective and is an extended himself. He takes on jobs that usually involve helping other extended with their problems. But everything changes when one day an extended on the run comes into Yuzu's office with an unconscious little boy. Now the real goal of the story is to uncover the secrets and wrongdoings of the giant mega corporation that basically runs the whole world. Berühren. The atmosphere is classic noir, smoky bars, rain-slick streets, shady deals in back alleys, and the art style matches that energy perfectly. Lots of shadows, detailed characters, and overall a very grim looking city. The action scenes aren't very consistent, but when they happen, they're tight, stunning, and easy to follow. If there's any criticism, it's that the story sometimes takes a while to get moving. It likes to build up the mood and different mysteries before hitting you with the next big reveal. But if you enjoy that slow burn pacing, No Guns Life is definitely worth it. The next manga on this list, and probably my favorite for today, is Mad. And Mad is a bit different than the other manga on this list, or even a bit different than the most manhwas you see today, but in a good way. It's a bit harder to pin down than the others. At its core, it's a gore-heavy, post-apocalyptic, Kaisen number 8-esque science fiction manga that deals with a lot of difficult themes like is it even worth to keep living in a ruined world and what it means to be a human. The story follows John as he meets a group of survivors roaming through the desolate wasteland after the apocalypse. They follow a signal to find potential survivors, and when they get to the signal, everything goes to shit. The whole group dies, but John and the leader of his group get saved by the remains of the military. After arriving at the military base, they get everything they could ever hope for. Their wounds get treated, a fluffy bed, warm food, and they even gave them meat, which is a rarity in this post-apocalyptic world. John even speaks to the boss of the military base to make sure that they can trust him, but he just can't, and it all seems just too good to be true. And we also can't trust them. Right from the very start, everything just feels a bit off. The characters, the surrounding, the art style, it just feels weird. But you just can't seem to pin down why we and John feel this way. Are they hiding anything from us? Or did John just really finally find a safe place in this shithole of a world? Some parts of the manga feel dreamlike, almost abstract, and the art leans into that with stark contrasts and a lot of unconventional paneling. More often than not, words are being spared and the stories are being told to us by just a few well thought out panels. Matt tackles some very complex ideas and themes like grief, despair, anger, regret, but also courage and hope. And Matt manages to handle them so incredibly well. You just can't help but really feel for the characters every step of the way. Please give this one a try. I guarantee you that Matt will pull you in within the first 5 chapters. It's really something special. The manga Smoking Parade is by Kataoka Jinsei, the same mangaka that created Deadman Wonderland, which you can immediately recognize by the art style. It kicks off with our protagonist, Yuko, coming home for his sister's birthday. Normal enough, right? Except when he gets there, she's being turned into a twisted, machine-like monster and immediately tries to kill him. And that's not even the weirdest thing that happens in the first chapter. It turns out that there's this big medical company that had a revolutionary breakthrough in the organ and body transplantation industry. And this company is responsible for turning people into these horrific human-machine hybrids called spiders. When our main character is quite literally on his last leg, Yuko is saved by a group called the Jackalopes. This group of misfits fight the spiders using mechanical augmentations of their own, annihilating his sister and him in the process, but thankfully Yuko survives and joins their group. The tone of the manga jumps around quite a lot. One page you're looking at a grotesque body horror panel, and the next you're getting a bit of sarcastic fun between teammates. And after that, the manga suddenly turns into a horror series. But these jumps in the tone don't ruin the vibe. Like, it's still a believable and coherent story. The art really leans into the over-the-top designs, spiked and weirdly shaped limbs, bizarre machinery fused with flesh, and combat scenes that are just pure chaos mixed with a ton of gore. It's stylish but also really messy. Sometimes you will have to just slow down to just figure out what's going on right now. Sadly, the manga doesn't have too many chapters and a quite abrupt ending, but it's still good nonetheless. All You Need Is Kill is the story of Keiji Kiriya, a rookie soldier fighting against alien creatures called mimics. On his first day on the job, in battle, he's killed. And then he suddenly wakes up the day before, alive again. He's stuck in a time loop, and every time he dies, he gets reborn and is forced to fight the aliens again. With countless resets, he's learning, adapting, and slowly becoming a better soldier and discovering more and more things about the mimics. If you've heard a story similar to this before, then it's probably because it's based on a novel, and you might even know the movie adaptation Edge of Tomorrow, starring that piece of shit. The manga is quite a bit different than the movie adaptation, like there are some similarities, but overall the story of the movie and the manga have very little in common. Takeshi Obata's art, the same artist who did Death Note and Bakuman, is crisp, detailed and expressive. The aliens look menacing, the battles feel chaotic, and the facial expressions carry a lot of emotional weight. Because it's only 2 volumes, it stays focused, no fillers, no side quests, just the main loop and how it changes Keiji over time. When compared to other popular manga, the relatively short length of All You Need Is Kill might leave you wanting more, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it makes for a quick and enjoyable read without having to invest too much of your time. So if you don't like it, you lost like maybe an hour of your life. It's an easy recommendation if you like sci-fi action and don't have time for a 30 volume plus commitment. Jujutsu Kaisen is undoubtedly one of the most successful anime and manga of recent years. It made anime even more popular, brought in a lot of new fans and sparked one of the best brain rot epidemics of all time. New seasons of the anime are still being released, which means that its popularity will still rise. But the thing is that the Jujutsu Kaisen manga actually already ended back in 2024. But that does not mark the end for the Lobotomy Kaisen extended universe, because in September of 2025 Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo was released, the successor of Jujutsu Kaisen that continues the original story 68 years after the events of the Culling game. You should probably skip the following part if you haven't finished the Jujutsu Kaisen manga yet. Like I said, the story starts 68 years after the battle with Sukuna. Most of our beloved cast from Jujutsu Kaisen is already dead, so we follow the grandkids of Yuta and Maki. Yes, you heard it right, he finally secured the bag. And said grandkids, Yuka and Tsurugi, start their life of being Jujutsu sorcerers in a world where technology and sorcery merged, and the golden age of Jujutsu has already ended. The plot centers on the alien race the Shimurans, that have similar abilities to Jujutsu sorcerers, seeking refuge on Earth, posing another Sukuna level threat to Earth's inhabitants. And the most important thing of all is that the boy Yuji is confirmed to be still alive in Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo and is even still in his prime, so he doesn't age like a normal person, like his brothers, and that also means that we will most likely see him fighting this new Sukuna level threat. And if we are lucky, we might get to see him turning Mahito into a bloody pulp once again. Root End is definitely one of the most disturbing and underrated psychological / supernatural / thriller manga of recent years. While it never reached mainstream anime popularity, it carved out a strong cult following thanks to its unsettling atmosphere, brutal themes, and constant feeling that something is very wrong. Instead of flashy fights or supernatural powers, Root End hooks you with pure psychological horror, mystery, and human darkness. The story starts with your usual murder mystery. A serial killer is on the loose that neatly arranges his victims' body parts into his name, End, and leaves his creations squeaky clean right at the scene of his murders. We, however, don't follow the lead detective, but we follow Taiji, a young man with a traumatic past. His mother, ended herself when he was just a little kid. This led to him hating her, and the only way to deal with the pain is that he now works as a cleaning specialist for crime scenes. One of the crime scene the company he works at was hired to clean up is a crime scene that the serial killer End left behind. And this is what changes a standard crime investigation to slowly spiral into something much more disturbing. As the story progresses, Root End reveals that it's not just about finding out who the killer really is, but it's why people break. Trauma, guilt, obsession and manipulation are at the core of the series, and almost every character is morally compromised in some way or another. The manga constantly blurs the line between victim and culprit and good and bad, making it hard to fully trust anyone. The story can actually get quite confusing at some points when you don't pay 100% attention to it, which can be frustrating at times, or at least it was frustrating for me, but it was still an enjoyable read nonetheless. So there you have it, boys, 7 different series. You've got a bit of every genre to read, except for Slice of Life, because I don't read that shit. Whenever you want something action-packed, slow and heavy, or just strange, there should be at least one title here that clicks with you. And if you've read any of them, I'd love to hear what you thought. So stay safe, stay happy, and hopefully we'll see each other in a few weeks. Bye.